Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to a special Minifandom on this Monday morning. I hope you're all doing well and had a great weekend. And I'm mainly here because Timothy Fax did his awful show and he said Mena's Live on Friday night wasn't long enough and he wanted more of me. So here I am. There's been so much happening on the Minifan world all weekend. There's so much to react to, lots of news, lots of controversy. So what a better way to get ready for another week of KMS than with yours truly going through the big issues. And this is Minifandom. It's not Mena's Live because this is not live. This is a pre-record. It's a beautiful Monday afternoon here in Sydney. It's winter in Sydney, but it's a sunny day. There's no rain, clear skies, and yeah, I just thought let's jump on and talk about some of the happenings over the last week. I jumped on Friday night while Mike and the Minifans was going on, but that was an impromptu thing, and I didn't really get into the week. Well, I sort of did. I did talk a lot about Mick and Justin, but there was a few things left on the table, and there's been a few things to happen since then. Now, let's start off with my good friend Stephen J. Snell. Steve Snell has released a new KMS Reloaded. It's available on this fine network. There's no video on this network because a few technical things. Snell couldn't upload the video to me, but I have put an audio version up and there's an audio version on the podcast feed. And if you want to watch Snell's video, you can go onto his Twitter, but you don't really need to. I mean, you don't need to see Steve, and there's no real great visuals. It is a nice little setting where he's filmed it, but audio should suffice. Anyway, so Snell and a fine show and is entitled to his opinions, but he went through this whole sort of explaining of why he thinks Justin's actually a snake and why he sides with Mick. And he absolutely slammed Justin. He slammed Justin for the hitting the vape pen when Justin was like dobbing on Mick. He also slammed Justin from when Justin was allegedly going through his Mick's phone and found a burner, which I think Steve Snell got it wrong. Like, when you have Twitter, it's not hard to see if you've got other accounts. Like, I don't think Justin was snooping around. It's pretty easy. If I had burner accounts and someone had my Twitter, you just sort of click on the icon and it shows all your accounts. So I don't think Justin was snooping around Mick's phone looking for dirt. But yeah, Snell absolutely slammed Justin. And I sort of try to step back and I understand, try and see things from different perspectives. And if I'm Mick and it feels like Justin's out to get me, how that might make me feel. And I also try to sort of see it from Snell's point of view, where he's like, what Justin's doing is really snaky. Like he's snooping around to get Mick in trouble. But what you've actually got to take into account is the playing conditions. So in every sport, in every aspect of life, there's rules and social norms and playing conditions, rules. Sports, like that's why you need umpires in sport to make people follow the rules. And I think you've got to look at what Justin did within the context of the KMS community. And what Justin did was wholly within the rules and playing conditions of the KMS community. Justin never did anything bad. He never went snooping for private information about Mick. All he did was react when Mick started playing this fucking bitch act that he was being slighted this whole trip. Mick gets back from the Dakotas and realizes he's been a fucking lump. So he thinks, how am I going to get people talking? I'm going to fucking freak out on Justin. And Justin, and I kind of get this, like, he is sensitive, but if you're him, you feel like you've just driven Mick from one side of the country to the other. You've had a relatively good time, and then he comes back and he just says all this bullshit about big brothering him. So it was an absolute horseshit move from Mick. We know that. And I don't think Snell's right. I think maybe if you're in a different job where there's no content issue, maybe Justin going to the boss and saying, hey, I saw Mick hitting a vape pen is a bit snaky. But let's take into account Mick pushed Justin if you push someone, you're going to get a reaction. So Snell, I thought, was a bit too harsh on Justin. Justin's job is to make content, and as John said, the producer candidate, he was in there on Friday. He would never expect Justin not to rat him out, and therefore he probably wouldn't trust Justin implicitly. Like, when I'm Justin's boss, when I'm his lead producer, I will have to keep my eye out because he could try and rat me out. Not for that I do anything wrong, but he'll be looking for mistakes. He'll be looking for anything to expose me. But that's kind of the sort of stuff that drives the show. So I just think this was, Snell's wrong. I know, I agree Justin came across a little bit like a whiny bitch when he was, dobbing Mick in. But as I said, if you're going to push someone that hard, like Mick did, then you can't expect not to get anything back. How should Justin have handled? He probably could have backed off with that stuff about the vape pen and the burner account, and try to push Mick into sort of more specific examples of what Justin did to upset him. But it was, great to have Snell back. Fantastic to have Snell back. I'm glad we got his opinions on Justin. I think they were unfair. I think Justin's going through a bit of a golden run at the moment. He's under a lot of pressure now that he's producer, and what he did was fine. And for people to sort of start to be conned by Mick, that's worrying, because Mick is fucking delusional. He's convincing and he will go all in, but it's still a bit, and it's still delusions gone wild. Like, I think he gets these little threads and he just wants to pull on them and pull on them and pull on them and see what he gets out of them. But I don't think he knows what he's doing. I don't think he knows where he's going half the time. And I do sort of believe what Kirk said, that it's probably a bit, but then he starts to believe the bit, and he's mad enough to do that. A lot of Minifans are. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if I wouldn't be surprised if by now he believes the stuff about Justin, even though it's not true. And obviously Blind Mike had nothing to do with it. Poor Mike. I thought he was the star of the show on the weekend in that car ride. He was having such a good time going back and forth with Justin. He was amusing. He's good-spirited. He's funny. Even when he's annoyed, he's still cracking jokes and having a good time. I can't remember who made the point. There's been so many shows over the weekend, but someone was saying that, Justin did force them into stopping for lunch when they wanted to get back. He was desperate to make them have buffalo wings one more time. He said, like, you can't drive through Buffalo without stopping for buffalo wings. And if that's the worst thing Justin did all weekend, then I think he got off pretty easy. He made you have buffalo wings. Oh, no. And you got back 1 hour later. Oh, big deal. So I'm on Justin's side on this one. I wonder what Mick's been up to this weekend. I had somebody reach out to me and insinuate that Mick looked like he was on the end of a massive binge, like a drug binge, when he was in studio the other day. He looked wide. He looked strung out. I don't know Mick's habits. I don't know if he's a drug guy. I don't know if he dabbles in the old chemicals, but it is concerning. And he did look strung out. His emotions have been all over the place. I mean, maybe that was the problem. Maybe he's carrying a severe drug addiction and we don't know about it. And being on the road in the car without access to hitting his crack pipe or shooting up, maybe that's, or doing lines of coke, Montante style, maybe that's why he when he came back from the trip, he was so fucked up, because he was like coming down. And then Friday when we saw him, he hit the pipe again and was spiraling. I don't know. This is what someone said to me. I'd find that hard to believe, but so much of what Mick says is a lie, and so much of it seems to be wrapped up in his psychosis, that maybe drugs are a part of it. I mean, it's always the people you least suspect. We all thought Chris Clemmer was this really boring vanilla guy, and he turns out, Kirk nailed it on the first show. He's another alcoholic, and hope he gets treatment. But I think, yeah, I'm not sure if Mick is into hard drugs, but there's also been some concerning findings on the weekend about the doctor that Mick said he was seeing doesn't even live in the state anymore. He's moved across the country. And I've often said I think the Crohn's thing is a lie. When Mick gets up and says he's been in hospital, I think that's a lie. I think he's probably just slept in, and that's why he's not available. So this would make sense. Like maybe he has mild Crohn's, sure, and I feel sorry for him, but I'm starting to sort of doubt everything now. I mean, if this doctor's not even in state anymore or anywhere near Mick, then what else is a lie? What other crap is he telling us? And I think, he felt cornered on the Dakota trip. He felt like pressured, and he didn't deliver. So we didn't hear from Mick on the weekend. I do hope he's doing okay. He's a lovely guy. He just misguided, young. Why you would not just run to take that job from Kirk? I don't care if Justin's in the booth. This is a chance to work in Barstool, Mick. Take it. Take it, you fucking idiot. And if it gets really bad, 6 months, a year down the track, maybe you can move somewhere else in the company. But to just be like, nah, I can't work with Justin. You're a fucking moron. You are. You're a fucking moron. You need your head read, you stupid little bug-eyed freak. I mean, you came in waving your arms around like a fucking lunatic a few years ago, and then the job's put in your lap, and now you're crying over Justin Trudell. I mean, Jesus Christ, how pathetic are you that Justin Trudell is affecting your career? Think about that. Guy that drank a gallon of milk to puke up on camera, and you're letting him affect your career. I mean, you fucking little stupid fucking muppet. Honestly, Christian needs to belt you around the head. He needs to kick you out of that fucking house, and you need to get your shit together and get up to Watertown. All right. So I wanted to talk about John as the next producer for KMS. I thought he did a fine job on Friday, and I like John, but I cannot endorse him as the lead producer of KMS, mainly because I want the job. But also, I think his track record of running the network has been concerning, and we'll get to Mike and the Minifans in a minute. But if John can't even run Mike and the Minifans effectively, do you want him running the main show? I'm not sure you do. And do we want a GVE takeover of KMS? Again, very concerning. I mean, if you let GVE in the building, what's going to happen next? And once they're in, they're like cockroaches, they're like rats. We'll never be able to get them out. There'll be viruses within the computers. I guarantee Jay will be sleeping in the alley next to the studio. If John's producer, Jay will just set up a little sort of meth mile thing behind the studio. It'll be a very small version of it, but it'll be there nonetheless. So I can't endorse John, but he did a very good job on Friday. He technically gets a bit nervous and he was tired. You can tell, I would give John a bit of advice. Maybe don't do meeting of the minds the night before. Why don't you maybe prepare for the main show rather than do meeting of the minds? That would be something. Like if I want to show someone I really want the job, like Kirk, I'm not spending 2 or 3 hours on meeting the minds the night before. Just my bit of advice. So clearly John's more concerned with his own clout, his own future, his own shows rather than the main show. But I think he would do a serviceable job. He's a really nice guy, but inept and a little bit stupid. So But of the candidates, I mean, no one else is available, and I've got to do a lot to get over. So someone's going to need to help. I mean, John's such a nice guy; he'll step out of the way when I get there. He's told me if I get there, he'll be back to Scranton within. He doesn't care. So I thought John's doing a good job in there. As I said, I think he needs to sleep before he does the show. That'd be a nice start because he looked wide. I know him pretty well. He looked wide and tired and just a bit slow. But, yeah, John definitely, I would say, Friday producing B-, boring minus. That was about where he was. He didn't quite have enough content. As I said, looked tired, gets a bit rattled sometimes trying to find stuff. But, hey, I mean, it's not his setup yet. Although, what am I talking about? We've seen him get rattled every Friday night. We say we're going to take calls, and then we go to take calls, and he's looking for cables. The Bluetooth apparently is just not working. Like the Bluetooth just stopped, which probably didn't. I probably could have fixed it for him, but he's the calls never work, all sorts of stuff. So I'm not surprised that when he's in the booth, he gets a bit rattled and starts getting all flummoxed. But that leads me on to my next thing, Mike and the Minifans. There has been significant fallout from the broadcast that went ahead on Friday night. We had PRC, we had Luke, we had Chad, and we had the worst talent ever, Patrick Gilroy. I have been contacted by a number of angry Minifans. I have been contacted by people involved with the main show who are not happy with the way the Mike and the Minifans is progressing. And the main comment seems to be that after a week like KMS had, where it was so Minifan-centric, where it was all about the show drama, Mike and the Minifans was pathetic. You had Luke, who is a fucking retard. I mean, the guy has 0 brain cells. The guy's mentally disabled. I don't know what else to say. So it's nice that he's part of the community, and sure, he can do his stupid show with Jackson, but does anybody need to hear what he says? No. And he does his stupid bits. He's not funny. He just the worst Minifan. The worst. He's certainly top 5 worst Minifans. So you've got Luke, then you have Chad, who's a nice guy, but a new listener, Johnny come lately, doesn't know much about the show, didn't seem to have much of a personality, and he was set up to fail. I mean, that was a tough panel. And then PRC, he's a host, he's not a content guy. And then you had Gilroy, who destroyed the show, just yapping away and about nothing. So he clearly just wanted to get on there and talk about himself. Typical narcissist. Just jumped on there to talk about himself. And I'm telling you, the real winner in this whole thing is Gilroy's ex-wife. How lucky is she to get away from this guy? She must see those matching number plates drive past and count her lucky stars. She has nothing to do with this fucking dickhead. I mean, this guy is so annoying. It just drives me crazy. And that performance of his was tone deaf. Didn't listen to anybody, didn't take any attention to the topics, clearly doesn't listen to the show, just sees the clips on social media and pretends to listen, and then just yaps away. Just a show killer. And Friday night was yearning for a decent show. And this is, I'm going to blame John from Scranton, because he's more worried about meeting in them. Like if he put all the time he spends on meeting the minds into finding decent panels for Mike and the Minifans, the show would be a lot better off. I'm going to blame Kirk for stealing Mike and the Minifans away from the Minifan network. A heinous act and a mistake. And it's been proven. So yes, I'm right again. I said it would happen, and it has happened. This show has tanked. So I blame Kirk. I blame BA for siding with the traders. And as I've said many times, Joe is the most underrated talent in the Miniverse. And I'm sorry, but I want Mike and the Minifans back. I want it to be stripped from John. I want it to be stripped from the main show's network, and it should be delivered back to the Men's Minifan network. I treated the show with the appropriate amount of respect, unlike John, who honestly would rather play slap and tickle than worry about Mike and the Minifans. He'd rather play slap and tickle with Jay than worry about Mike and the Minifans, or Dr. Vodka or Jake, all these idiots John spends hours a night a week with, when he could be working out who's going to be on Mike and Minifans that Friday. He messages people at the last minute, and I think it's a real shame. And, Kirk's a fucking idiot for not listening to me originally when he took it away, and serves him right. And I feel sorry for Blind Mike, because this show's, trademarked with his name on it, and it's got to be bad for his brand at the moment. I don't think PRC is a natural host. I mean, Fax pulled out at the last minute. He alleged he had something at work. I don't believe him. So just an all-time stinker. And the thing is, it's been in a steep decline for the last few months. So I get contacted all the time from people. It's a terrible show. There's no audio releases. There's no audio releases on any shows on that other network. And I think things will change with Mike and the Minifans because last Friday had real potential to be a classic show. And I urge, the OG Minifans to get back on Mike and the Minifans. We need some heft. Fucking enough Timothy Fax, enough Beanbag Ron, enough Chad, enough Luke, enough PRC, enough Kane. Where is everybody? Where is everybody else? So, if you're just one of those people that's disappeared away from the networks, come back. Come back. John needs you. He's fucked that show up completely. All right, now to some very, very concerning developments. And, a man I mentored and brought into this world, developed, built up, has lost their mind. My good friend Beanbag Ron has started his own channel. He's clearly an egomaniac, and he's gone crazy. He was talking about simulcasting KMS and doing kind of a Manning cast at the same time. So firstly, that will obviously steal views from KMS because you're asking people, instead of watching it on the KMS channel, watch it on Beanbag Ron's channel. So if the show does well, which you're hoping it will do, you're trying to steal thousands of viewers away from Kirk's channel. And that's money out of Kirk's pocket. So to Ron, after all Kirk did for him with the basketball, bringing him into studio, he almost kicked him out. Remember that first time, but he let him stay. Ron wants to start his own channel and stab Kirk in the back. That's low. And Ron says, I didn't think about it. Well, if you didn't think about it, then you shouldn't run your own channel, buddy. I mean, you want to be a CEO of your own channel. Think about these things. And then there's this clout addiction that Ron has been afflicted by. He gets a little bit of love about the basketball, and all of a sudden he's got his own channel. He wants to start his own shows. He wants to comment on Kirk. Beanbag Ron wants to sit there commenting on Kirk. Kirk does a show commenting on everything else, not the other way around. And, it's funny how Kirk did so much for Ron, but did Ron want to do anything for Kirk's network or Kirk's YouTube channel? I mean, Jeopardy came and went. Okay, that was a lot of work, and I think it was a bit too much for Ron, but all these ideas that he has at the moment, rather than channeling into his own stupid channel, could be on Kirk's channel. But no. He wants his own. He wants his own brand now. He wants to be the star. It's the Beanbag Ron time. Everyone get around Beanbag Ron. He's the new star. And it's just pathetic. Honestly, it's pathetic. I mean, you've got this network. You've got Kirk's network. If Ron wants to do stuff, there's a load of options for him, but it's just a clout chaser. He's ego gone mad. I mean, this is the problem with people. People say, oh, look at you men as you're doing your own show. But I did a show for 6 years before KMS came along. I'd done like 500 podcasts by the time KMS started. So it wasn't like I came out of nowhere. Whereas Ron, who just thinks, oh, I've got a little bit of love, now I'm going to start my own channel and be famous. Just pathetic. And it's take. Just taking from Kirk's audience. Next, he'll be asking people to subscribe to his Patreon. He'll be asking for money like Blind Mike. It's really sad. And this is a guy that Kirk and I have, built up. I mean, he had nothing. He had no personality. We gave him confidence. We loved him. And he just knifes us both in the back. So, yeah, very, very, very disappointing. I guess, a few other things before I sort of wrap it up. Who have we got in? We've got Cullinane in, I think, this week, and Blind Mike. So I'm looking forward to hearing Blind Mike's opinions on Mike and the Minifans, because I know he was concerned about it. Looking forward to hearing Kirk on Beanbag Ron and all these people that just want to take and not give back to him. So yeah, it's just been one of those weekends where a lot's swimming around. I wonder if we'll hear from. I wonder what Kirk's going to say about Gilroy. Like, surely he's just going to completely slam him. So yeah, that would be ideal. That would be really ideal. But there's lots of great shows on the Men's Minifan Network. Go back and listen to KMS Reloaded with Snell burying Justin. There's Manners Live for Friday. There's a Minifandom with Jackson from last week. And there's lots of great stuff going on. Timothy Fax has just started this terrible show, awful show. It's just him yapping away into a microphone about nothing. He says he wants to be in media, but he's fucking hopeless. And I was messaging him, why didn't you want to bring your show to the Men's Minifan Network? And he said, because Kane's on this network. I mean, what a soft cock to be like, oh, Kane's on your network, so I'm not going to put my show there. Just pathetic. And it's why he's going to be a loser. It's why he's never going to amount to anything, because he's got terrible instincts. And, Fax is a really lovely guy, but god awful to listen to. Like boring, vanilla takes. Just he actually does what John from Scranton does. They just repeat what the last person said. They've got no sort of individual thought of their own. And if you go back to last Friday's show with John from Scranton, he does a lot of that, just repeating what the person before him said, which is a very safe, inoffensive way to go, isn't it? Because you don't, you just sort of toe the line all the time. So just chose so you don't have much original thoughts going on up there. On Friday, it's titled Mick's Final Show. I do wonder whether that'll be Mick's final appearance. I would, if I was picking a favorite, I would be like, there's just no chance he's not going to be on the show again, because on Thursday he's yapping how he's never going to be on the show again. And then an hour into Friday's show, he was there. And what was happening with that? At one point he said he was driving. He was in Boston. At one point he said he was driving around. He was going to do a live B8 BAP at one stage. That was all really fucking unhinged. I mean, that was crazy. Like, he was tweeting out, I'm going to be live at 10:30 with a Beyond Average podcast. And all of a sudden he was in the studio a few minutes later. I don't know how long it takes to get from where he lives to Boston at that time, but that person that said he was drugged out, I don't think Mick was driving around on drugs. I think he's smarter than that. So maybe he just hadn't slept a lot. Maybe just the anxiety and the frustration had kept him up all night. Yeah, and then there was the other thought, maybe he was just driving around Watertown, just madly driving around, just seething at Justin, like not even thinking properly, not sure what to do, like just circling like a shark, circling the studio. I don't know. But he wasn't on Twitter over the weekend. I really hope he speaks to someone and gets some rest, because it wasn't a good look. It wasn't a good look. All right, well, that's a little Minifandom to get your Monday morning going. I mean, God, does the Men's Minifan Network deliver? And we've got a big week ahead. Tickets for soccer go on sale this week, $90. I'm very satisfied that Steve is getting his comeuppance now for being a snake fuck. I was the first one to pick him as a snake, and it's just been continually proven. He's a smart snake, and he's good at what he does, but this $100 per car for his documentary is just ridiculous. I think he sold 19 so far. So what's that? 1,900. Still, that's probably more than I thought he'd sell. 19 tickets. Who are the 19 people that are going? It was crazy. 19 more than I thought would go. No, actually, that's not true. I thought he'd maybe sell 10 tickets. I'm thinking of doing a live show that night at exactly the same time that's going on, because I don't think there's going to be a Mike and the Minifans that night. I think Mike can't do it. And I wonder if there's something going on there. I wonder if Steve's reached out to Mike and said, oh, can you not sabotage my documentary? Because Steve knows if Mike does a Mike and the Minifans in Socko that night, he's fucked. Like, that's just going to wipe out any more ticket sales. Whereas if he doesn't do a Mike and the Minifans, there's a chance if you're in Socko and a lot of Minifans with spare cash, they'll just fork up the 100 and go and see it. He might get lucky and sell 50 or 60 tickets rather than the 19. But if there's a KMS event going on, it's done. It's all over because no Minifan will want to miss that event the way these things go. So I wonder if Steve reached out to Mike and said, can you not do a Mike and the Minifan somewhere else then on Friday? Because they go back a long way. I mean, Snaky Steve would do anything. I don't trust him. All right, well, look, that's it for Minifandom. It's a huge week on the KMS. What will the future bring? That's what I want to know. What will the future bring for KMS? I feel, and I said this on Manners Live, I feel the time is right to sort of end all these bits. So we've had the Mick bits, we've had the Steve from Gloucester bits. Let's find new bits. Let's have a new generation of bitty people. And unfortunately, all these fucking drips that are coming onto these networks, none of them have anything to offer. We talked about Gilroy, but I mean, Faxes couldn't go in studio, but you certainly wouldn't want him in studio. I mean, just such a boring dude. There's nothing really happening on the network. Like, people forget the Men's Minifan Network was a talent pool. We used to bring through a lot of talent for the main show and what you call it sort of talent scout in the KMS world. But it's not happening on John's show, John's side of the street. He didn't give a shit about that. He's all about meeting the minds and himself. So, yeah, we'll see what happens with this new era of KMS, and maybe it'll be the Menace era. I haven't been contacted by Kirk, and I don't think I'm going to write Kirk one of those soppy letters like all the other Minifans do. Like, you want me, come and get me. I mean, that's the way it works, isn't it? And if you've got a super talent, you go and sign him, not the other way around. I don't beg for a job. So that's why there hasn't been any discussion between me and Kirk. But I'm open to talks. So, it's not going to be easy, but sometimes in life, things are worth fighting for. All right, but I definitely wouldn't give John the job after what's happening with Mike and the Minifans. I would probably lean on Justin doing it solo with someone part-time. Could they just get someone to help him a little bit until they find a full-time person or someone can emigrate? I suggested Lucy Birch. I think she should be in there for recordings just to help Justin. Why not? Lucy, can you just go? Lucy, there's something over there. Can you go and get it? Anyway, whatever. Look, these will be the sort of things you'll get to look forward to if I'm in charge of the show. But that was Minifandom. Actually, I'll do my pop culture segment because there's no listener questions. I just want to dedicate the segment to, of course, Red's dead parents who got off easy not having to see him live. Pop culture. I saw It Ends With Us on Saturday night, and I have to say it was really good. It's an emotional film that makes you think. It's confronting, but I haven't had to be in situations where domestic violence is a thing, so I didn't find it jarring or triggering. But I think men should see this film because I think everybody should see the film, but very good film. There was some of the actors annoyed me, It Ends With Us, worth a look. And tonight, I mentioned the other day, I'm going to go and see Dirty Dancing. They're showing it on the cinemas tonight. It's just $10 to go and see it on the big screen. And it's, the first time I've seen the film since I heard about what Jennifer Grey did with Kevin from Bristol. So I just wonder if Kevin's ruined the film for me. I don't know. We'll find out. But hard to look at Jennifer Grey the same way after, Kevin's kissed her. So anyway, look, that's it for Minifandom. I also want to see Alien Romulus this week. That looks fucking good. So I can't wait to go and see that. But then we've got KMS later on today and a new era, post-Mick,